Now, we are going to talk about this big, giant pile of stuff that has appeared.
It is a big pile of stuff. Let me
And
see.
I have not even
one
brought
thingy,
all of
two
it down.
thingy, three thingy, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 thingies.
And I haven't even brought anything from the miniatures game down.
We should probably leave that up there because I will get so sidetracked.
Yes, looking at it.
I was thinking about getting this at a certain store, which I won't name right now.
One?
Yeah.
The leather? Do it. This is a gorgeous version.
I know, it's gorgeous.
In fact, that's going to
Here, let's tell them what it is so that we can stop saying the thingy and the stuff.
Misty mountains old, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day to seek the pale enchanted gold.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, The Hobbit.
So,
anyway.
The Hobbit. I have this, foot-high pile of stuff related to The Hobbit.
He's got a thingy here, which is, it looks like a soundtrack book, and he's got a soundtrack. He's got a cool leather-bound, gold-laced version of The Hobbit. He's got a movie edition of the book. He's got this cool CD thing. Oh, is this a DVD?
That's actually the Blu-ray.
Oh, this is the Blu-ray. He's got the Blu-ray book version. He's got another leather-bound version with a cool tongue.
Actually, this is just a journal.
It's a journal.
It's a journal.
A Hobbit
Which is
journal.
really cool.
He's got another version of the Hobbit hardback. He's got another version of the Hobbit.
Wait, this is a book
No,
on The Hobbit.
Book on the Hobbit, hardback.
And then the annotated version of The Hobbit, which I am particularly proud of because it does contain the alternate versions of Chapter 5. Yes.
So, anyways, Desolation of Smaug is coming out soon.
Of Smaug.
Smaug.
It's not Smaug.
It's
Smaug.
Smaug. I am Smaug! Because that's what he sounded like in the original cartoon that I grew up with. I'm Smaug! Down, the goblin, down, the goblin, down. You go, my lad. Ho, ho, my lad. The song that I was trying to play for everybody in the pilot, that it didn't happen.
Oh, you go, my lad.
But seriously, that is what Smaug... Oh, there's the ring wraith. Ah, it's so creepy. It was so creepy in the cartoon. So creepy in the cartoon. That thing actually gave me... That cartoon was the first cartoon that actually made me scared of things.
That guy gave me nightmares.
Other elements of the cartoon were good. They were okay. Actually, I would say they were okay. I won't say they're good, but they were okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very interesting. But then when they announced that they were releasing the live action version with Peter Jackson, I was just like, oh my gosh. But Smaug... Aug! I've been saying Smaug for 21 years, Christopher.
I'm gonna make you change!
Smaug had always been my favorite villain, especially because he was a dragon, and I love dragons. That was another thing we were going to talk about. But anyways.
We're going to talk about dragons eventually.
Yeah, well, no, you wanted to talk about him. Oh. There's a picture of the Goblin King... of the cartoon, the Great Goblin from the cartoon, posed next to a picture of Boss Nass, and the caption says, "We hate the bombard dwarvesies." No.
See, okay.
Whenever you killed a goblin, it went into this kaleidoscope mode. But when they killed the Great Goblin, he went spiraling away into this black pit of despair.
To give you some context, this was released in 1977. It was
very trippy.
A very trippy cartoon meant more for children, and they didn't want to show anybody actually being killed
and bloody and stabbed.
So when Gandalf takes his sword and kills the Great Goblin, which you sort of got very weirdly in the movie version. So Gandalf draws Glamdring, and you see Glamdring glowing in the darkness, and you don't see any hand holding it because it's all gone black because Gandalf did this magic of concealment.
Yeah.
And he runs through the Great Goblin.
But just before the sword hits him...
Just before the sword hits him, the Great Goblin deflates like a giant balloon and goes spiraling into...
Oh no, Glamdring! No!
We are not kidding. We are not kidding. And unfortunately, I hated this in the Peter Jackson movie where Bilbo fell like this impossible distance down into a bottomless pit. We imagine that in 1976 it went something like this. Let's see. Okay, page 114. Bilbo bumps his head in the dark and gets separated from the dwarves.
That's boring. Let's have him fall down a bottomless pit.
How did he survive the fall? Why didn't any of the others fall down the pit? If Gandalf knew Bilbo was in trouble, wouldn't he send off the dwarves and stay behind to help the Hobbit?
It's a kid's movie. It doesn't have to make sense. Kids are stupid. As quoted by Rankin and Bass, apparently, or Bass. Bass or Bass?
Rankin and Bass.
Rankin and Bass. Oh.
Let's not talk about
Yeah, that was just,
Now,
oh, those elves. Those old elves.
We're not talking about the elves. We're talking about Smaug the Magnificent.
Well, we can call this one Smaug.
57.
We can call this one Smaug.
Smaug.
We'll call this
Smaug the 57 Chevy Impala.
Yeah, because his eyes literally were like headlights whenever he was looking. He's just shining.
We're not kidding. We are not.
He shines these beams of light. And he's like, well, there you are. I smell you. Hear your breath. Come on now. That's pretty much how he talks.
That's exactly how he talks.
But when he starts describing himself, and I really don't mean it, I mean this in every funny way possible, he sounds like a Black Baptist revival preacher. He's just like, I am Smaug, the great and terrible. Just like, what's going on? Oh, Christopher's actually going to play it. I'm not kidding. This is what he sounds like.
Who are you and where do you come from?
I come from under
That's
the hill,
Bilbo.
and under the hill and over the hills my paths.
There's the headlights.
And through the air I am he that walks unseen.
the reverberation is because
He's invisible. Yeah. Smell.
What is your name?
I am the lucky.
I mean, sometimes he sounded kind of
the
cool
weather
here and
the
there,
cider
but when he started describing himself,
Lovely title.
I am he
We'll try to
that
stop talking
drowns
whenever
his
Smaug's
friends
talking.
and draws them alive
But,
again from the water.
yeah.
I am the guest of eagles, the ring
Fires-
winner and luck wearer,
The
clue finder and
the barrel rider.
Barrel rider, eh?
Here he comes.
Then I have guessed your riddle. You are one of those miserable, tub-thumping lake men. You and your town shall pay dearly for this intrusion.
He's getting angry.
So the lake men would steal my treasure.
Come on, the revival's got to start soon.
okay. I've got to say that is the most undragon-like thing a dragon would ever do. And we'll see
acid
it.
and melt his gold. Yes, gold's the most precious thing ever.
Exactly. He lives for gold. Now,
And
we'll
he
see
also
we'll see it farther on.
I know he melts it with his fire breath.
Wait, you
don't know everything.
Not gold alone brought me hither.
Be done with your riddles.
I mean, pretty much. I think you could hold a dragon hostage if you picked up a golden shield and held it in front of you and like, hey,
Revenge!
here comes the revival.
Surely you must realize that your success has made you some bitter enemies.
And that laugh. And that weird face. He looks like a lion with scales.
It's a lion
Revenge.
with hedgehog fur.
I am Smaug.
You see?
I kill when I wish. I am strong. 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 My armor is like tenfold shields. My teeth are like swords. My claws spears.
Spears!
Shock of my tail on thunderbolts. My wings are hurricanes.
Not to mention, many parts of this movie, the soundtrack starts drowning out the dialogue.
Yeah.
And my breath. Death.
And he melts his gold.
Well,
He melts dwarven armor, which is probably the most precious thing a dragon could get.
where are your riddles now?
My riddle is this. What the bleep were you people thinking when you drew this Smaug?
Okay, so let's look at him in detail. He has bat wings.
Yes.
Are those his front legs? Shut up.
Yeah, shut up, Smaug.
Go
We don't hear
away.
you.
So he is one of the six-limbed dragon. I personally like the six-limbed dragon.
Oh, no, me too,
Instead of the four-limbed.
I mean, I wish that was actual fur and it didn't look like a hedgehog spikes on his back.
That is actual fur. That's fur. Why does he have fur? Why does a dragon have fur?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
He shouldn't have fur.
He's got a lion head with a goat beard and
fur,
sideburns.
and his tongue is like a glowing fire ember, which actually is kind of cool.
That is, yeah, I know. That's okay.
One wonders if the Chevy Impala Smaug inspired Peter Jackson to depict Sauron as an evil lighthouse.
As quoted from Perionath?
Perionath.com.
Perionath.com. And didn't they actually that's something I didn't really think about till now. Didn't they each one have a pony they were riding when they first showed up at Bilbo's house?
Yep.
Okay.
Which you actually see in
Yes.
the real movie.
Of course, they all get eaten
They do get eaten.
by the goblins.
Yes.
Actually, not the goblins, the trolls.
Actually, no. They get them back from the trolls. It's when the wargs attack, which didn't happen in the book.
That's
In the
right.
Peter
Then they
Jackson
lose
one.
them.
Then
That's right.
Then they lose them.
That's right.
They bolt, and then they have to run. And then you have the very confusing bit of, we are going to run in a circle while Radagast takes his sleigh and leads them back and forth right across our path. Why?
Because he's nuts. That's why I'm
Because he's
saying.
nuts.
Because he's nuts. Now, don't get me wrong. As opposed to a lot of people who hated Radagast being in the movie, I actually liked the fact that Radagast was in the movie. It was kind of saying, hey, look, we actually weren't kidding when there was other wizards. And they did it tastefully, for the most part.
I thought that for the most part, Radagast was good. Personally, I found Saruman to be much more egregious than Radagast.
Surprisingly, yeah, I was excited to see him there, but then after he started talking, I was like, wow.
He started talking, and then he mentioned the excessive consumption of mushrooms.
I was like,
and I was like, yeah, we're done. Sorry, but no, we're just done. That's it. So, let's talk about what we're excited for in the new movie.
Smaug!
Smaug.
Oh my gosh,
Benedict Cumberbatch.
We're turning into fangirls again. Ah! But seriously, that was the main thing I was concerned about. When I'd found out and you had told me Benedict Cumberbatch was playing Smaug, I was like, I really hope he does it right. And then I heard him in the trailer. Oh my gosh. I kid you not. I think we said this in the last episode. I turned into a screaming fangirl. Oh my gosh. You're just going to have to fast forward and find that one clip if you're going to actually...
Yeah, I am going to.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Right there. I even know where it is in the video.
To amaze me. The courage of hobbits.
Courage of Hobbits.
Did you see the cup? He's got the cup.
Epic music. And Thorin jumping.
Listen.
Here comes.
I am king under the mountain.
Yes. Where are you? Oh my gosh.
Shush.
His name is Bilbo.
Another clip.
Thief. Where are you? Come now. Don't be shy. Step into the light.
Oh. Nailed it.
That is what a dragon sounds like. That is what Saruman in The Hobbit should have been like. He has a power in his voice, and in the Lord of the Rings films, Saruman had that power. He's lost it. But see, I don't think it's actually Christopher Lee's fault. I think it was the writing and very bad directing.
True.
I mean, they basically were trying to make this both a comedy and a serious movie at the same time, and it didn't work.
I mean, on the topic of dragons, you and I were talking that one time about how you were asking me how someone would recognize a dragon in my book, and I was like, by their voice. Like, think about people who've done voices of dragons. Like, I will even say the cartoon Smaug. He has a very distinct, recognizable voice. My dad knows the actor by the sound of his voice. I don't know what, but Morgan Freeman would be an example of a dragon voice. Sean Connery has already proven his ability as a dragon voice.
Though, gotta say, that's not quite a powerful dragon voice.
It's not powerful, but it's intriguing enough.
It's intriguing enough.
Yeah. Yes, but voices like that. David Tennant, once again, another example of a not powerful voice, but that quality. I think we had a couple girl names on there, too. Do you remember them offhand?
Not off the top of my head.
Anyway, but yes, that is the biggest thing I am excited about with this movie.
Yes.
I truly think it's going to be really good. I really do.
I hope so. I mean, I'm every time I get all positive, I am proven wrong. Like the last time that I got really excited about a film, I was like, "Ooh, it's gonna be great." Was Hobbit, and then before that was Prince Caspian.
Caspian.
Prince Caspian. It had some really fascinating stuff, but
they went way off the beaten path.
Well, see, leaving the beaten path is not necessarily bad.
No, it's not, but they just went a little too far, I think.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Susan and Caspian. No. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Bah humbug to that.
Yeah.
Which I can say, because I'm young Scrooge. Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Did I tell you? I think I told you this, but it'd be fun to say over the Poe-Cast. That my professor, who did his version of the Hobbit, had also performed in a couple other versions of the Hobbit before he became a professor. And in one of them, he auditioned. He got to read for every character in the Hobbit, every single character, all the dwarves, Bilbo, Gandalf, the goblins, Gollum, and then they had him read for everyone, and he was like, "Hey, do you mind if I read for Smaug?" And they said, "Sure." And he read for Smaug. He got cast. Let me see if I can remember. Oh, yes. As one of the trolls, Gollum, and Smaug.
Those are like
one of my favorite professors. One of my one of two favorite professors at Lindenwood, ladies and gentlemen. I won't say his name on the Poe-Cast, but props to you. You know who you are if you end up listening to this.
We're probably a little bit too geeky for that. But I hope maybe he'll...
He used to own a comic book store. He's pretty geeky.
Ah, yes. he'd probably appreciate that.
Anyone who's from Lindenwood listening to this probably knows who he is by now. But still.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Thumbs up from Christopher.
Yeah. All right. So Smaug is definitely something that I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
I am not...
The dwarves again. More dwarves.
Yeah.
Actually, they won't really appear to the third movie if that continues.
Oh, more dwarves?
Yeah, more dwarves.
Yeah,
Armies.
we'll see.
5 armies, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Azog! Ah!
Day and...
Kill him! Smash him with a rock! Beat him to death.
I am...
Make sure he's dead this time. Prove it to the camera.
Yeah. Gandalf, I am looking forward to. The dwarves, they're great as long as they're not being put into stupid situations like the stone giants.
The stone giants were kind of funny, though. I'm sorry. I loved that entire exchange. They're filled with worms. That one, full of worms. Oh no, drop him! And they're, why are you calling us disease written? And Thorin kicks him.
That's not the stone giants. That's the trolls. That was great. It was. Just,
oh, I thought you said trolls. You mean goblins?
No, the stone giants.
Oh, the stone giants. You said okay. The stone giants, yeah, they were kind of stupid. They were really stupid. I mean, it was literally just a rock walking around. Why couldn't it have been what it really was, which is a bunch of giants having a snowball fight with boulders?
I would have loved...
Which actually is kind of really funny when you stop and think about it.
I would have loved to...
Christopher thought about it.
I would have...
Hands up, Harry! Oh! You gonna pay for that? Oh, you gotta hit me, pachonk! First. Fadonk.
See, I would have...
But yes. I never really thought about that till now. Sadly, that's probably what Tolkien had in his head when he wrote these. I'm gonna have them throwing rocks at each other, but they're so stupid, it's like a snowball fight.
Well, see, quite literally, you have the imps coming out of Shakespeare watching as Shakespeare as a child watching a performance of Shakespeare's Macbeth. I'm sure you've heard this story.
I might have.
Anyway, so there's Macbeth. You know Macbeth. I'm not going into it.
That Scottish play, yes.
That Scottish play. There is a prophecy that Macbeth will not die until High Burnham Wood comes to Fair Dunsany. Which basically means this forest has to move like 100 miles to come to the hill of his castle. And he's like, well, you're fine then. But then one of his guards comes in and says, my lord, as I stood upon the watch, I thought that the wood began to move. And Tolkien got really excited. He's like, the wood is actually moving! No, it turned out to be some guys with leaves in their hats. Well, okay, no. The invading army was coming with branches. But
that idea stuck with him. That's actually really cool.
that stuck with him, and he actually turned it to, yes, the wood is actually gonna come and start moving.
And thus Treebeard was born.
And thus Fangorn was born, yes. We love Fangorn.
Oh, Fangorn. And they're nice ints, too. They're not like all these evil ints that everyone puts in World of Warcraft and such. And everything else, blah.
Yeah.
Why can't we have nice tree people all the time?
Yeah.
I think we're kind of burned out on things to talk about now.
I think we are. Let's at least read some stuff from The Hobbit.
Oh, gosh. Let's see if I can find one of my favorite parts in the book. We'll each read a section of our favorite part of the book. How's that sound? A very small portion.
Okay.
Oh, you keep looking. I gotta find my spot.
No, I've got mine.
What is yours, out of curiosity?
Specifically for book 2, it's the poem.
Yes. I can't find it. I'll find it.
So, I have, through my Tolkien studies, have noticed that everybody knows far over the misty mountains cold. But did you know that there are actually 2 more sections to that song? That song and the rhyme and the meter is repeated 2 more times throughout the book. So, first of all, after the unexpected party, when the dwarves have just escaped from the goblins of the Misty Mountains and are lodged at the House of Bjorn, who unfortunately we will probably be getting quite a lot of in the movies. He's going to be awesome, but I think they're going to
Bjorn is very
him too
hairy,
much.
though. He's very, very hairy. Have you seen the concept art for him?
I have. I think it's going
Or
to be
not the
awesome
concept
to
art,
see-
I should say the production photos.
Production photos. That's the thing that I'm just a little bit wary about the movie, is I think that they're going to expand things and make it slightly silly, because you should either go fully serious or fully silly with The Hobbit. I don't think you can bridge the gap between them, it's kind of working, but it's not really working in in the Peter Jackson films.
I just may end up reading this part, but
Oh, the whole thing.
I love this whole. But that'd take too long.
No. Hey, I have really come in the last 2 or 3 years to really appreciate the poetry in Tolkien's books. I mean, I used to skip a lot of the poems, especially the Arendil poem that Bilbo writes and recites in Rivendell in the Fellowship of the Ring. It's a very long poem. It doesn't really have much to do with what's going on, and it's kind of tedious. It's not my favorite poem. The whole Arendil the Mariner is not my favorite bit of Tolkien's. Yeah, I can criticize Tolkien. I love him, I can criticize him. But anyway, I'm going to read a poem from The Hobbit, from chapter...
Oh gosh, do we need to say chapters?
Chapter 7, Queer Lodgings. The wind was on the withered heath, but in the forest stirred no leaf. Their shadows lay by night and day, and dark things silent crept beneath. The wind came down from mountains cold, and like a tide it roared and rolled. The branches groaned, the forest moaned, and leaves were laid upon the mould. The wind went on from west to east, and all movement in the forest ceased. But shrill and harsh, across the marsh, in whistling voices were released. The grasses hissed, their tassels bent, the reeds were rattling, on it went, o'er shaken pool under heaven's cool, where racing clouds were torn and rent. It passed the lonely mountain bare, and swept above the dragon's lair. There black and dark lay boulders stark, and flying smoke was in the air. It left the world and took its flight over the wide seas of the night. The moon set sail upon the gale, and stars were fanned to leaping light.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
So, but the interesting thing about that poem is that my opinion is that poem is, in my mind, the kind of thematic presentation of the period of the book that basically the second Hobbit film, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, is going to be about. Because when you get into what's going to be the third movie, it's weird. I'm talking about these books in like 3 parts. Mm-hmm. When you get into the third movie, you're going to have the king has come into his hall, and that whole song, which you can really tell is a continuation of the Misty Mountains song, because Misty Mountains Cold is first film song. The Wind poem, which is interesting because I think it foreshadows not only the dragon's first coming, but the dragon's eventual attack on Lake Town. And then you have the king has come into his hall, the dwarves no more shall suffer wrong, and it's really kind of we're going to war now. I mean, the third film is going to be in your face war, and it might not work actually.
Yeah, but this part that I'm going to read from Chapter 12, Inside Information, on page 215. The Hobbit was the first book I ever really fell in love with. It was also, I loved to read as a child, but I still had to have pictures of some sort to look at, because I was having trouble making them in my mind. But this was the first time I actually had a vivid image in my mind by reading a book, and ever since then I've been able to have very vivid mental pictures when I've been reading a book without pictures. So, there he lay, a vast red golden dragon. Fast asleep, a thrumming came from his jaws and nostrils, and wisps of smoke, but his fires were in low slumber. Beneath him, under all his limbs and his huge coiled tail, and about him on all sides, stretching away across the unseen floors, lay countless piles of precious things, gold wrought and unwrought, gems and jewels, and a silver red stain in the ruddy light. Smaug lay with wings folded like an immeasurable bat, turned partly to one side so that the hobbit could see his underparts, and his long pale belly crusted with gems and fragments of gold from his long lying on his costly bed. Behind him were the walls where the nearest could dimly be seen coats of mail, helms and axes, swords and spears hanging, and there in rows stood great jars and vessels filled with a wealth that could not be guessed. That was the first image I ever saw in my mind when reading a blank book. That's why I
That's
love
just
dragons.
gorgeous.
That's why I love dragons so much.
Oh, that's so good.
Love dragons.
Oh, that's actually good.
And the
It has
axes
been
and the
too-
helms
it has
and
been
stuff, just like,
too
ugh.
long since I have read The Hobbit.
I need to read it again sometime. I need to make time for it. But the semester's slowly coming to an end. So,
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so we may have more time to make more Poe-Casts, actually in person, so it's not. I don't sound like I'm talking into a tin can.
Yeah, I hope that the first episode actually turns out.
Well, do you want to wrap this up, maybe?
Yes, let's wrap this up.
I'm Benjamin,
And I'm Christopher.
and this is the Poe-Cast, signing off.
We still need to get a better ending for signing off.
Yeah, well-
I don't like signing off.
Well, we'll do that for now.
Okay. Okay. Now
See-
we're gonna turn it off.
Good night.
Yeah, all right. Good night.